All right, got one. Yes, sir. All right. Woo. Yeah, nice flounder right here on the finger mullet. I told you guys that is an awesome bait. Perfect right there. Get him up in the boat. What's going on, Saltstar Nation? Richard here. Good morning. Gonna be out here today fishing with my dad here. We are in a new area that's close to a sound. We got some hot weather forecasted later today, but we are gonna be fishing incoming tide. There's a little bit left of the outgoing, and again, we're in an area that's gonna be kind of trapped in at low tide, but we're hoping once that incoming tide comes in, more of that bait comes in, and that kind of cleaner, new, cooler water will really get the bite fired up. But anyway, guys, today we're going to be using lures and also live mud minnows on a slip float and kind of like a modified Carolina rig on the bottom. Hopefully we'll pick up some flounder in this area. It's really nice and sandy, and looks like a good choke point for those guys to hang out. But either way, hopefully we'll catch some, and I'll see you soon. All right, guys, so just got in here. We actually just anchored the boat up. It's actually pretty sandy out here, so we're just going to be walking around. But I want to show you right here around low tide what we're going to target. And there should be some flounder, usually kind of during these low tide periods. And then, you know, once there's some more water comes in and all of that, that's when your trout and reds will typically move in. But during the slow times, you know, kind of during that low tide stage, it's a really good time to target flounder. And I'll show you kind of the area that we're looking at and trying to fish. So I'll turn you around. Right out here, you can see you've got a nice little bit of a choke point, and that is coming all the way back into the creek right here. So flounder love staging around one of these first bends, especially if you can find a little bit of deeper water kind of along these shelf banks and things like that. And you can see this goes all the way out to the sound. So by fishing, you know, places like this, you know, all the bait, all the fish have to come through this point, and flounder are ambush predators. So this is a really good spot, an area to try and catch flounder. Got one on the mud minnow right here, guys. Just a kind of modified Carolina rig, just a mud minnow sitting out on the bottom. Real easy for these flounder to grab. Ended up being what we got it on. All right, there he is, nice little flounder. Perfect one right there on the mud minnow. Oh, there we go, got one. Woo, all right. Yeah, little guy. All right, guys, about 1.5 feet of water. All right, there we go. Nice little flounder there. First fish of the morning. Yeah, we're at about low tide, kind of bottoming out. There's a little bit trickling out still. So hopefully this next hour or two, when this water starts coming back in, will be a good time to get these fish fired up. I know the flounder are gonna start kind of staging up in some of this area for a choke point, hopefully. And same with some trout and reds start coming in once there's a little bit more water. But look how little this guy is to that big bait. I really like using bigger baits when I'm out here. You can see the sounds out this way. You know, there's just a lot of big water around, so that's why I really like using these bigger baits. All right, so while it's a little bit slower and we're starting to wait for some of this water to come in, I just want to show you the simple rig I'm using. And guys, you're going to see me use this a lot more, especially when I'm starting to use more live shrimp and live bait and things like that. This is just your standard slip float, pole float, and it's a very easy setup. So I'll just go over it really quickly. So right up here, you got your knot. As you can see right there, that little green knot right there is called a nail knot. Right behind that, I've got this green little bead right here, and what that does is that goes right up against the knot, guys, and it stops the entire system. So you can do that, and then your pole float will slide all the way down, and then it'll stop just right there. And then, you know, if you want, you can adjust that by that nail knot. Now, coming straight down, I've just got braid going all the way down here. I've got another bead. That bead that I put on there is just to help this right here, so it doesn't damage the cork. Then I've got just a standard kind of trolling sinker. This is a 1/2 ounce, 1/4 ounce is typically plenty for most of the inshore purposes. And then I've just got about probably 14 inches or so of a 20-pound Andy monofilament leader, followed right here, guys, just by a Kale hook. So very easy, super simple setup, but it's great when you're fishing, you know, tidal creeks and things that have good current, because you can throw that out there and then you just let it drift in the current. And it's a very natural presentation. All right, real quick, if you do want to know more about the tackle, gear, everything I was using today, I'm going to go over all that at the end of the video. So definitely be sure to check that out. If you have any questions or anything like that about the gear that I was using, I'll go over it all there. All right, so we just got some prime finger mullet right here, guys. This is the absolute perfect size right here, probably about 3.5 to 4 inches. This is exactly what you want. So if you ever get a chance to cast net some of these, definitely going to be good. But I'll show you right here. Look right there, go right from the bottom lip straight through just like that, and you've got a perfect little finger mullet. And this is going to be a great bait for flounder, redfish, trout. They all just absolutely love these guys, especially this size. All right, got one. Yes sir. All right. Ooh, yeah, nice flounder right here on the finger mullet. I told you guys that was an awesome bait. Perfect right there. Get him up in the boat. All right, beautiful flounder right here. Got him on the finger mullet. That little 4-inch finger mullet, guys, I'm telling you, they are killer bait out here. Everything eats them right there on the slip float. I saw my cork go down, grab the rod, and here he was. Perfect. That kale hook did a great job right there in the side of the mouth. One last look at him. All right, hopefully we'll get some more. That tide just started coming in, so hopefully that bite's gonna pick up a little bit. It's been a little bit slow, been getting a few flounder here and there, but once that water starts moving in, I'm really thinking, let's see all this finger mullet. You can see how the water's kind of nervous right here, guys. That's exactly what you wanna see. That means that bait's starting to get pushed in here, and they're gonna go to the back, so that means those predators are gonna start coming in as soon as they can to start ambushing all this bait. All right, got another one right there on the finger mullet. Got something big, pull and drag. Looks like a shark or a red. Yep, shark will eat these guys too.
Told you there was something in here.
Yep. Here, I'll see if I can get the de-hooker on him. All right. All right, guys, when you get a shark like this, it's good to have a de-hooker, something like this, where all you gotta do is grab that hook and give him a little shake, and there you go. Hook, no issues, still got your leader. All right, guys, that's probably gonna wrap it up today, but yeah, we ended up catching a few more on that incoming tide. It definitely fired the bite up a little bit, and man, the finger mullet did really well. The flounder were really all over those guys. So if you ever get a chance, bring your cast net with you and you're around some low tide areas and you see some finger mullet, especially those guys that are about 4 inches or so, those are perfect. So definitely capitalize and catch a few of those. And we're using them on the bottom rigs, kind of like a modified Carolina, and then also just a regular slip float, which I showed you guys earlier. But man, a lot of fun today. Got some good fish in the boat, especially flounder. So yeah, pretty much the game plan worked out just how we thought it would, and it turned out to be a beautiful day. It's starting to get pretty hot now, so we're probably going to go ahead and scoot on. But man, thank you guys for coming out, and let me know if you have any questions.
All right, so real quick, let's go ahead and go over the rod and reel setup that I have and everything in between with line and all as well. And guys, I do have the slip float on here, which I went over earlier in the video as well. So real quick on the rod, guys, this is gonna be the TFO Professional, and it's in a 7-foot medium. Now, the reason why I chose this rod specifically is kind of a do-it-all rod, where if you want to bridge the gap between fishing with live bait or artificial, this is a really good rod, especially for the price. And it's got a fast tip on it, so you can throw artificial really well. It's not too heavy, so you can throw it most of the day as well if you're throwing artificial. But what I really like about it is it has a very solid backbone right here, and it's pretty stiff. So if you need, to throw some live bait or something like this, a heavier system, this rod can still handle it really well. And that's one of the things that I really like about this rod, because I throw artificial a lot and I also use live bait, and I didn't want to have separate rods just to do each. So I'm kind of bridging that gap with this TFO Professional in the medium. The medium is a little bit heavier than most of your other medium rods that you might be used to throwing, especially if they're artificial, more focused rods. This is going to be a little bit beefier, which I like because I can use it for redfish around docks and things like that, whether I'm throwing artificial or a small Carolina rig. And again, a slip float like this rod will handle it really well and not feel too overweighted or overpowered. So it's a really good rod that I can keep in my boat. I can easily switch it out between live and artificial just by changing up my leader. Now, getting into the reel and line, so what I have on here is going to be the Daiwa BGMQ. I love this reel. I've got 3 of them at this point, and they're super light, very, very strong. But this reel has a ton of power, and that's why I really, really like it. I mean, it's very, very light. So again, if you're throwing artificial all the time, this lighter reel is going to be great, but this has also got the strength to pull out some heavier, fish away from structure and things like that. So it's really, really good setup with this, and that 3000 series is a perfect weight distribution for this rod. And the line that I have paired up with this is actually going to be 15-pound Power Pro. Power Pro is probably one of my favorites, just the original, but I go with the 15-pound one because I'm using some live bait, and a lot of times I'm around heavy structure and docks and things like that. If I was only throwing artificial, I'd probably stick with that 10-pound, but I want to go ahead and have a little bit more insurance if I need to pull a big fish out of somewhere, because this rod does have a lot of power and can do it, and that 15-pound gives me a lot more assurance, especially around structure, pilings, oysters, all that stuff. So guys, if you need a basic setup that's going to be able to do both, throw artificial well and still be a good live bait rod, this TFO Professional in a 7-foot medium is a really good way to go. And be sure to check out fishstrong.com if you need any of this gear or tackle. And if you're an Insider member, you can get up to 20% off on rods, reels, tackle, and much more. So if you have any questions or comments, guys, be sure to leave them down below. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this with our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, we hope to see you again soon.